pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think
you can't break Robert Rules of Order. You got to go through the process.
if there's a work study?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, well,
it's public meeting.
okay. All right, Clerk Wright, would you please call the roll?
I don't think we had no public comment, but just remember that. We got
Okay, all right.
Trustee Miller, Trustee Boyden, Trustee Frazier, absent excused. Trustee Martin, Treasurer Bud,
Here.
Clerk is present, Supervisor.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Today, we have a consent agenda which consists of work-study meeting minutes, board meeting minutes. We have our prepaid list, which is paying our everyday bills, and approval of an updated recreational committee bylaw. New business today will include a discussion of the personal service agreement for our new police chief, Jason Wright, and our new fire chief, David McAnally. We will also be discussing the multi-departmental budget amendments to the 2022 amended budget, and there will be a discussion on wage increases for Van Buren Township election workers. Included will be the discussion of a first reading of an ordinance. The ordinance will be for a sidewalk ordinance, and that will be it for today. Okay? All right. All right, so
Number 5 off.
we are pulling number 5 off. So can I get a motion for adoption of the revised agenda, removing number 5?
I make that motion.
Support, I have a motion and I have support by Mr. Trustee Martin. Miller? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Next item would be the consideration of the adoption of the consent agenda. I don't know whose turn, but who would like it?
I'll tell you.
Trustee Miller?
Yes. Adoption of the consent agenda will consist of, number 1, work study meeting minutes of March 1st, 2022. 2, board meeting minutes of March 1st, 2022. 3, prepaid list of March 3rd, 2022. 4, prepaid list of March 10th, 2022. 5, voucher list of March 15th, 2022. 6, approval of the updated Recreation Committee bylaws.
Okay, thank you. Can I get support?
Support.
Support by Treasurer Bud. Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next is the public hearing. We have none. Next is correspondence, announcements, and presentations. I only have one. This is a letter that I'm going to attempt to read with my bad eyes. We are having litter issues in our township. We have been hiring temps where we can to try and get out and to do something about it. We understand that the courts are not providing the same service that they did, and we are also hearing from the stores that they are short people. They don't have as many people to send out to do this work. We are sending this out to all the businesses in Van Buren Township, maintaining and through the DDA, because that's where most of we're hearing about it. Maintaining the Belleville Road streetscape requires the partnership and participation of businesses on Belleville Road. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Basically, it says, clean up your act, because in the next 10 days, we're sending the ordinance officer out. And if you've got a mess outside of your business, we're ticketing, and we've just had it. You can work out your labor issues on your own time, but the waste has got to stop. That's the end of that. Correspondence, announcements, presentations. Do we have any others?
Yes, we have an extra announcement from Director Zangline.
Oh, okay.
And I got a little short one.
Okay. Clerk Wright and then Director Zangline.
Mine is really not anything important.
Taken a long way to the podium.
Oh, God, yes, this is great news, yeah. This is absolutely fantastic news.
Oh, good evening. Can you guys hear me? I probably don't need a microphone. Just a little reminder that Parks and Rec likes to put fun, or we put the fun in funding. So I have an announcement that you already know, but we'll let everybody know, that we found out last week that Parks and Rec has been awarded $100 grand, not the chocolate kind, the money kind, from the Southeastern Michigan Resilience Fund. So this is a grant, we worked so hard for this. This is a grant we applied for in August of last year. So we applied for it, we made it through the first round, we made it through the second round, we made it through several edits, and we found out last year that we're going to be receiving $100 grand for Riggs Park. So I want to give you a little bit of background about this grant because it's something we can apply for in the future. The fund was created to provide financial resources that benefit southeastern Michigan communities and wildlife habitats by improving resilience in the face of intensifying environmental stressors. And there's two different funding categories. The first funding category is to expand green stormwater infrastructure and enhance public space. So we can apply for that in the future and apply it towards our stormwater. And the section where we were funded is through improving habitat quality, connectivity, and accessibility. Now I want to just mention where the funding comes from. We are so thankful to receive this funding, and it wouldn't be possible, I sound like PBS, but it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for Cleveland Cliffs, Fred A. and Barbara M. Erb Family Foundation, the Kresge Foundation, Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, the U.S. EPA, and the USDA Forest Service. So in particular at Riggs Park, we're going to be using this primarily to remove exotic and invasive plants out in the park. We have about 24 acres of the park that has different types of invasive and exotic plant life, including bittersweet, buckthorn, honeysuckle, Bradford pear, Siberian elm, Phragmites, purple loosestrife, cottonwood, and many other different plant species. The grant is also going to pay for seeding and planting of native plants, as well as habitat restoration for upland and wetland species. We will also be able to develop a detailed management plan that will help us to continue the restoration work we're going to do, and also help us with site prep at the corner of Martinsville and Huron River Drive. That area is going to be a future trailhead for the Iron Bell Trail, and we'll be able to do some work in that area as well. Now this week on Thursday, St. Patrick's Day, we're going to be meeting with a representative from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. We're going to find out all the ins and outs of grant reporting. This grant, we have like a 2-year cycle in which we can spend the money. And so we're going to get all the details and find out everything about it and be able to move forward and just make the park a better place.
I thank you so much, Director Zanglein. I can tell you that I kidded around at one time and said that I should say that all my directors need to return in grants every year what they make. And I'm not, we are really not far off. Yeah. Oh,
Through the chair, if I may.
yes, go ahead.
Thank you for doing this, and submitting the paperwork. And I know how hard you work because Director Renau is singing your praises.
Oh, well, thank you.
And that park, is near and dear to my heart. It's close by to not only me, but also Don Boynton's subdivision as well. And I've seen that park undergo massive changes through the years, good and bad. So I love that it's a preserve and that we're keeping it that way, and we're planting new native plants. I know we've had burns out there, so this is exciting. You said it'll be over 2 years, correct?
Yes.
So will we get half of the money this year or next year? or
You know,
how does
I'll find that out
work?
when we meet. And I think it's probably going to be like a lot of grants where as you do things, you probably submit for reimbursal along the way.
And there's a lot of work to grants, and I learned this on my own when I submitted a few. You have to submit the paperwork, but then you have to follow through, and that takes real grit. So
It's like having a child.
absolutely. So I commend anyone who submits and goes after these grants because it's a lot of work and it's a big commitment for anyone, no matter how big or small the grant is.
Right.
So I thank you.
Congratulations, Director. Thank you very much. Very proud of you. Very good job.
All right, thank you.
Clerk Wright?
My report is very quick. I said the first time I saw this, I was gonna report it, since Director Sumter called me the phobia king. I am reporting that on March 15th, 2022, Van Buren Township has found reported 0 cases of coronavirus.
Yay.
I know Belleville had been reporting 0 cases for a couple of days now, so that's great news. And Wayne County total was 79, believe it or not, 79. That's good news. I really wasn't the phobia king, but my job, I think my job as elected officials is to keep not only employees safe, but try to keep the resident within the township safe as well. And I try to use my voice as an advocate for that. And I think that was my job to do. I'm glad to see these numbers. Hopefully we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. That's my hope. I really think that's the case. I think that science has beaten this virus. We got to the point that it's going to be something no more than the common flu, so that we can control. That's my foresight. Thank you for doing what you want. Everybody that adhered to all the protocols, and everybody that did what they're supposed to do, take the tests and do it. All that was a part of it. And everybody, you had the right to maintain your body the way you want. But I have to thank everyone that followed the protocol, either on whichever way he had to do it. He followed the protocol, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
And do any of the board members have anything they want to say? No? Okay. We are now into the public comment portion. This is where anybody in for the public that wishes to get up and speak is welcome to come up and speak. Are they all here as friends or what?
Friendly crew.
Haven't seen. Okay. All right. We're moving on then. Let's see. Sorry, public comment? Unfinished business. We have none. New business. First item is the personal service agreement for Jason Wright and Dave McAnally.
Through the chair,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion. We approve the personal service agreements between Van Buren Charter Township and Jason Wright as police chief and David McAnally II as fire chief.
Support.
I got right because I know they're gonna work together all the time. All right, actually, is Supervisor McNamara doing this? No, go ahead, Nicole, this is you. You don't wanna do it? With my eyesight? I could give him the wrong amounts. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for having us here today. I'm going to read my wonderful speech that I prepared for my boss. Jason and David have served side by side by the previous Director of Public Safety, Greg Lorraine. They provided stability and influence for our Van Buren's department. During that time, Jason completed a new policy manual for the police department, assisted with the achievement accreditation of the department, and has supervised countless administrative organizations. He's conducted many disciplinary tasks as well within the police department. Before working with Van Buren, Jason retired as a chief from the city of Wayne. David is a seasoned professional who has worked in the capacity of a fire explorer, public safety dispatcher, paid on-call firefighter, the fire marshal, and now the actual fire chief. Currently, both of them have served as the deputy director under Director Lorraine. But the Public Safety Department, police, and I would like for everyone to stand, please. Police, dispatch, ordinance, and the fire department will be under capable hands of these two, whose leadership, character, loyalty, and professionalism are without question. And with that, I would ask you to approve their personal services agreement. Thank you, Board.
Clerk Wright.
You know, I had to go back, I forget what year, I'm getting old. Memory is slipping. But I remember, I think it was under London Combs, Supervisor Combs, and Greg asked if we sit on the panel to appoint a deputy chief. And Jason Wright was one of those candidates. On that panel was myself, the supervisor, I believe, Greg, and a gentleman out of Washington County who was the former clerk, but he used to be a district, I think, a district attorney for Washington County. During one of the breaks, he came to me and he said, "Who's this guy, this gentleman, Jason Wright?" I said, "He's one of the highly recommended candidates for the position." He said, "Well, he's the real deal." And during that interview, I found out that he was right. He's the real deal. And during the last how many years, we developed a relationship together, working together, which enforced the idea that he's the real deal. And also working with the gentleman beside him, Chief McNally, he's the real deal also. I couldn't think of two people that I would recommend to take these two positions above these two that's standing there. I think they're going to do a great job and be great for Van Buren Township, great for the department. You guys have got two great people coming that's going to be taking care of you. I have all the faith and confidence in both of them, and I know they're going to do a great job at Van Buren Township, and I couldn't be happier. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Trustee Miller?
Wow, look at the support. This is amazing. This speaks volumes, and we've noticed, so this is just something that there's no decision to be made here, but yes, of course. We appreciate the hard work that you do on a daily basis. You've gained everyone's respect, and you are loved by this community, so it's a yes for me, absolutely.
Treasurer?
Through the chair, I guess I would like to also say that I did know David's father when he was the police chief, and I know it was always David's ambition to follow in his father's footsteps. I was here when Dave became a fireman. I've watched him grow into the very finest young man he is. I'm so, excuse me, so proud of what he has done and what he means to the township. Jason, I've known since he came on board. I'm proud of what he's done to the department, and I can't think of a better two gentlemen to lead us forward. Thank you.
Trustee Boynton, did you want to speak?
Well,
No? Okay.
kind of shot my wad earlier today, but to both Jason and Dave, both you cats know how I feel. We've had a number of conversations in the past. Jason, I've said this before with you, and I'll say it now. Anything that I can do in any shape, form, or fashion, you let me know. Dave, I said that I would quit calling you the inimitable, most magnificent, so on and so on. I'll quit doing that to you. But I will certainly call you by the title you deserve, which is Fire Chief. And Jason will be Police Chief. And I'm very proud to have you in our services. Can't think of two better people.
Trustee Burton?
These two gentlemen have displayed an exemplary work ethic, their comportment, their dedication to Van Buren Township is next to, is way up there. And I appreciate the interactions I've had with them, and I know they will do a great job. We have picked two great men to lead this township public safety departments, and I'm proud to have you guys as our chiefs.
You know how I feel about you. You work for me. So I count a third of our police force out there. That's
That's
they're not
amazing.
on overtime, are they?
Like you, huh?
They must. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just overwhelming. I do know that Dave and Chief Wright, excuse me, Chief McAnally, they're excited. When they got this job, they were very excited. They've got programs that they're starting to do. I know the cops already know about some of those programs. The firefighters know about some of them, which included extenuating more open full-time. Chief Wright has already started 2 programs on us, and I'm not going to discuss them until we get them up and running. But we're pretty excited that we've got some fresh blood. They're excited. They've got energy, and the world revolves on smart, energetic people. One of my favorite sayings is, God, Harry Beecher Stowe or something like that. It's some people think that a few intelligent, hardworking people can change the world. The fact is that it's the only thing that ever has changed the world. And we've got some exciting, smart people here that have got energy, that are making changes, and things are working well. Thank you.
Call the question.
All right, so we have a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Clerk Wright. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we can let you gentlemen sit down.
Yeah. Run. Why don't you do it with all the cops behind them? I never get that many cops in here.
I had a picture of that because it was so impressive.
Yeah.
The dude, he got,
Okay. Now that we're done with that, we can get on with the exciting world of a discussion on and to consider approval of multi-department budgets. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to consider approval of the multi-department budgetary amendments to the 2022 amended budget.
Support? Support by Bud. Okay, Director Selman, Deputy Supervisor Selman.
Good afternoon, Board. So the item before you is a request to consider approval for multi-department budgets, moving mostly 21 funds into 2022 budget year. We discussed this item at greater length in the work study. Most of these items are from unfinished projects for 2021 that became necessary due to supply chain issues or delivery delays, ongoing renovations, staff turnover, as well as some unanticipated expenses. As I said, these were discussed at greater length in our work study session. And with that, I can answer any more questions for any other items that were before you that might require greater explanation.
So just to be real quick, these aren't really anything new. This is basically stuff that we had agreed to do last year. We couldn't complete last year, so we're rolling the funds over this year.
Yeah, largely these are mostly expenses that are true rollover funds. There were some unanticipated expenses, such as the blended rate program being put into this year's budget, the water main, water and sewer department expense that was discussed, which was $2.5 million. So there were some true unanticipated expenses, but yes, that is largely expenses that are being rolled over from the 21 budget to 2022.
Does anybody have any
Through
questions?
the chair.
Trustee Bud?
Also through that wasn't mentioned at the work study is that we are going to be raising the Planning Commission and the BZA from their normal to $75 for a meeting.
Thank you, Treasurer. So yes,
Yeah.
this was, we didn't bring this up during work study, and I'm glad you did bring it up. This wasn't going to be an actual budgetary adjustment because these departments already have it within their budget, that it's not actually going to trigger budgetary money that was going to be needed to fund those line items. But the Planning Commission and a few other commissions, some of them are non stipend committee and commissions, such as the LDFA or DDA, the Seniors Committee, Endowment Committee. Their committee members do not receive stipends, but it has not moved since my time here, which they're given $25 stipends to attend meetings. What the treasurer wanted to get a conversation started on was moving that to a $75 stipend per these committees. You know, these committee members dedicate a lot of their time and well into the evening, and even outside of their meetings that they attend, they spend a lot of time reading their packets and really dedicating themselves to their boards and commissions. So we wanted to kind of include getting that in the conversation too, was to move their stipend from $25 to $75. Was not going to trigger a budgetary expense. If it does, we would address that during the budget review process later on this year.
The chair, it's been many years since we've even looked at raising that.
Oh, very
I
long.
mean, many years.
I think many before that,
So this is long overdue.
very much.
Okay. So, and we expect them to be professional. We send them away for professional training. They're the gatekeepers to the planning, which ensures we have a good community. And we don't like turnover. If this could help, that would be nice. So, yeah. Okay. All right, so I have a motion. Miller, supported by Bud. Hearing any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The budgets are amended. Moving forward, number 3, discussion on to consider approval of wage increases for Van Buren Township election workers. Clerk Wright, would you like to make the motion?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I thought you said something.
The motion.
I'm
but
sorry, okay, trustee Boynton.
I move that we approve the wage increases for Van Buren Township election workers.
Support.
Boynton Miller.
That sounds better than it comes from me.
Okay, that's okay. Clerk Wright, would you like to tell us about this?
I will. Okay, as we know that we are been dealing with this pandemic for a couple of years now, and quite frankly, it has increased the difficulty to recruit election workers. Not only are we having a hard problem recruiting our election workers, we are competing with other communities who are continually increasing their wages. So we took upon ourselves to do a evaluation and look out across Wayne County and surrounding area to see what was our competition paying. So Brittany and Danae put some long hours into doing research and came back with some numbers that we're going to present to you today. So looking at what was paid across the area, we're proposing that we raise the chair amount to from current $210 for chair to $300, co-chair from $200 to $250, inspector from $175 to $225, receiving board from $75 to $100. I do not really anticipate any changes in the budget. I think the current budget will cover this based on the elections we have scheduled for this year. Unless something new come up, then of course, if a special election is proposed, we would have to amend it anyway. These are also the proposed chair for the polling locations and the e-poll book location. We are asking for a small increase for those too. This is just to be a little more compatible with the surrounding area. I know we have some areas that we just can't compete with. Detroit is paying off the chain. And I think Candace, we still haven't reached the rate that they're paying. But this will help us to recruit people to help us work the election, along with the clerks that we have. That's the program that we set up with the clerks of the township working the election is a great program, but we still need recruits to work the polling location throughout the township. With that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I don't have any questions, but just a statement that being a poll worker and dedicating yourself for the day is very long and tedious, hard work. So I looked at these and I looked at the lines of what other townships and cities were paying, and I think we're very comparable and competitive in our rates. But in order to get people to come forward and want to do this work, and it is tedious, it's a very long day,
Yeah.
we have to pay them accordingly. So I'm in favor of this.
I
this
did miss
change.
one thing.
What's that?
Because of the long hours with the AB County Board, we have no idea how long it's going to take. It could be 12, 15 hours, 12 to 15 hours. It could be 18 hours. It could be
Exactly.
24 hours. Hopefully, that never happens again here in this township. But it's a possibility. Anything can happen with electronics that could run us into the next day. So we propose we change those people to an hourly rate of $18 an hour. I don't think it's right to say, I'm okay you $250 a day when you really working maybe 2 days, you know? So an hourly rate would be better for those people. And it's outlined on your material also. So.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Hearing no questions, we're moving to the vote. And I have a motion by Dwighton, supported by Miller. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
thank you.
Next item would be sidewalks. Discussion on, okay. Who would like to make the motion on this? I need it read.
I can make the motion.
Trustee Miller?
Okay, to consider approval of the first reading of ordinance 03-15-22, paren 1, an amendment of chapter 74, paren streets, sidewalks, and other public places, article 2, sidewalks, to amend section 74-26. Is there a second?
Support.
Support by Trustee Boynton. Okay, directors, take it over.
Well, good evening, Board, and thanks for having us. We're here for the consideration and approval of the first reading of an amendment of our ordinance of Chapter 74, which consists of streets, sidewalks, and other public places, and to amend Section 74-26.
Okay. Director Power?
Thank you. Thank you, Board. As we discussed in the work study, this amendment is to provide additional clarity and support to our sidewalk ordinance. The current sidewalk ordinance provides a broad framework for sidewalk replacement. What we're proposing tonight amends the ordinance in a way that permits the township to develop specific rules for the sidewalk replacement. And amending the ordinance and adopting corresponding rules will allow the residents to have more understanding of why the replacement work is being done. So it's going to let us have some more flexibility and some additional policies that allow us to implement a sidewalk replacement program. A couple of things just to clarify based on the discussion during the work study. The township attorney reminded us that based on some conversation about the 5-year repayment period, that 5-year period is actually under statute. It's under the state act that supports the ordinance. However, we can develop specific rules within our department policy try to move that along closer to a 3-year timeline. It's just that the 5-year language was from the state law. So there is some flexibility that we can use in our policy to go faster than that. That's just up to 5 years. And again, this is a ordinance that doesn't mean every neighborhood in the township will be done every year, but it enables us to move, enables the board to move around and prioritize different portions of the township for sidewalk programs. And then one of the other points of the work study that was discussed, this program is not meant to preempt or exclude HOAs from being able to do their own sidewalk repairs. This just simply provides the township with the ability to run their program to provide that additional support and enable replacement throughout the township.
So in a nutshell, Haggerty Sub, this is the enabling law that will allow us to replace your sidewalks. We are coming. Take care of this. Some people don't believe it.
Coming for your sidewalks.
That's the bad ones.
Yeah. Okay, does anybody like to speak? All right. I have a motion. I have support. This is a law, so it must be read twice. This is the first week. So a law requires a roll call, correct?
Yes.
Usually. Well,
The second time only, or now?
It's only the second time. I thought it was every time.
gotta read it again, and we always have to roll call on the second
Second
time.
time.
Okay, so I guess it's a voice vote.
Yes, voice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Line item number 5 was taken off. We have no reports. Public comment for non-agenda items. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none. Board comments. Is there anybody that wishes to comment from the board?
Mr. Chair. I would like this board to consider and reconsider our work study timeframe that we have for work study. You know, before we did it on Mondays, on Monday afternoons, and we were able to go through a lot of material and understand some of the projects and things that were brought before us. And I thought that was quite beneficial. Now we have gone to, we have them every now and then it's an hour before the board meeting, and it's not enough time to sometimes digest the material that's presented to us and then vote on it in a manner that is conducive to making a good decision. So I think that we need to reconsider our stand on work studies.
What do you propose?
I propose we do it on Mondays like we've done in the past.
Well,
We don't have a lot to talk about, then it won't last long.
the new proposal really is not set for, it's not a per diem set for 5 o'clock before the board meeting. That's just what we do. We can have a special meeting, have a work study at any time. It don't have to be 5 o'clock before the board meeting. If we have something like that we want to speak on and we want to study, we can have a work study. We can post to have a work study anytime, any Monday. Like if you guys have something that you want to have a work study on, you can bring it to the supervisor's attention. We can post it and have a longer work study on Mondays. You don't have to change the agenda to do that. We just,
I don't think he's changing the agenda.
The chair?
He's,
Okay, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
The issue that I see is that we're voting on things, and then we go right into a board meeting. You know, like tonight was over $500,000 that had it on the agenda, on the work study agenda, and then we were going to vote on it immediately. That's always uncomfortable. That was Jeff Jar's biggest complaint when he served on the board, having something put on us and then voting on it that evening. I don't know, whatever happened to the parking lot where we had work study items that we look at and address, and then we'd vote on it at the next meeting. And I know that's not always possible with every single item. Some things come up, some things are urgent, but I was comfortable with having time to talk to all of you about whatever agenda item that I needed more questions on. And excuse me, I thought I turned that off. That's all I had to say.
But this is, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I mentioned, I'm actually the one that rallied for that.
Right, yes, I do recall that.
Because I call them dress rehearsals. And that's what we're having. That's when I still am not an advocate that we don't need to have a work study every time before the meeting. Because a work study is exactly what it said. It's outlined as a work study to study issues. And we as the board is the one that triggers the work study. And that can happen anytime. We don't, like this, I think this was an item that Kevin brought forth because he didn't have the time frame, but a work study should be set this week, have a meeting, study it, vote on it at the next board meeting. I proposed that years ago, and we don't have to change the agenda to do that. We just know not to put items on the work study that need to be voted on right afterward or the day before. We can still have a set work study. If an hour is not long enough to talk about it, we can have a work study called, a special meeting, to just study that item on Monday.
Okay, I'm hesitant to do it on Monday and Tuesday for only one reason. I have all of those people that I need to hold in for another day.
Well, just like today, we had a 5 o'clock work study, but the topic obviously was gonna take longer than that, but we had to stop the discussion because we had a board meeting.
But we rarely, that was rarity, very rare.
Yeah, Kevin.
Well, I didn't know the Wayne County thing was gonna come on. That was a shock.
That's
I'm
what I'm saying.
joking.
And also, we agreed to this some years ago that we would not vote on things right after work study. We had agreed, we had made an agreement to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That can be, controlled.
Yes, you did. We all agreed to it. It was a consensus that we would do this.
Right, but
We would not vote on something the day or the day after we talked about it. We would marinate on it.
and I still think the work study could be at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. That would give 2 hours before the board meeting starts.
Yeah, okay,
And we don't have to go through every item that's on the agenda. So if we need a work study, it could be at Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
right.
I think that makes it easier because they were always at 4 o'clock, so just make it 4 o'clock on Tuesday.
Right.
And then if we need it or for what items we need to call.
One
Because
thing I want to add to that. So if we do that, could we, say if we had 15 minutes or 20 minutes left, couldn't we just roll right into the board meeting? Now, I know we've done that during budget times, but can we do that? Is it legal? Are we breaking any Open Meetings Act violations?
We posted at 6 o'clock.
Posted the time.
You had to break
Okay.
and go back.
All
But
right.
that's exactly what I'm saying. I agree with Treasurer Bud said, we could have it at 4. The issue is not what time we're having it. The issue is not to have items on there that you're gonna take right into a vote.
Right.
That's what you are concerned about.
Right.
So let's say, whatever we spoke about today, if we would've met it before, we shouldn't be voting on it until the next board meeting, unless it's an emergency.
Regardless of the time.
well, there was probably some items, excuse me, that
What it is,
right.
that's what I'm saying.
But tonight, there was probably some items that didn't need to be talked about, but the supervisor did say, are you all right to let it go? I mean, but there were some items we didn't need to have had a work study on.
I mean, the budget amendment was something we had to have a talk about just to make sure everybody was okay with it all. But otherwise, I don't see why we didn't proceed with the vote on the same day. We did.
Just something like that, that's fine, but
Yeah.
when you're talking about spending $500,000 on things, that's
That
a
I
different
can't help
story.
you with.
That's it, well,
I can't help you with that. That was, I had a timeline, you had to make a yes or no agreement as a board.
see, and that's the problem. We have these projects that come up and we under the gun to make a decision, and it's happened more than one time, and I think that we just need more time to think about things and to explore all the options.
Yeah,
Whoever imposed this deadline, I'm sorry, but
it's a moot point now.
I understand that. But what I'm saying, and the point that I made was that work study should be at least a longer time. And I agree with 4 o'clock on Tuesday, that's fine, because we had a 2-hour limit on work study anyway, so that'll fall into,
Right.
that'll fall into our plan.
Well,
I will attempt to do what you've asked. I and then you can tell me if I'm doing it or not. Because things like the budget amendments, is something you really need to talk in a work study, because there might be something you want to bring out, but it's also something that probably should just be voted on to get it out of there.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
I guess, since I'm the only one that hadn't said anything on the matter, I know. I know, but the only thing that I've heard so far is, that I'm going to push back on slightly, just very slightly, with Treasurer Bud, is the start time at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. I just want us, as we are considering this, to be thoughtful and considerate of the trustees' time, because the trustees, unlike the three of you, we are not full-time employees. We have work, we have other professional responsibilities, and it may be quite difficult for us to get time off at 4 o'clock to get to where we need to be. No, hold on. I'm just saying that let's be considerate of the time. Maybe 5 o'clock is best on another day. I'm saying let's be considerate of the time, because I would hate to make a decision on 4 o'clock and wind up getting promoted or transferred to a higher position, and I can't leave my place until 4 o'clock, and then drive here, which puts me here at 4:30, 4:40.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, if I'm hearing him correctly,
There needs to be
that
more
you are
discussion.
okay with Tuesday at 4 o'clock, but if any of the members here recognize that there's a conflict at 4 o'clock because of an ongoing obligation like job, then we will revisit the movement of that.
I'm saying let's be considerate of it while we make the decision.
We will, but for right now, it'll be Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
How did we decide that?
Did we decide that?
I thought we just did, didn't we?
I think we need more of a discussion on this amongst ourselves.
No.
And,
That discussion at a workshop?
no, by telephone. We can call each other and talk about this. I'm okay with 5 o'clock. We also have to consider all of their time.
That's why I want to keep it on
considered
one
it
day.
4 o'clock, so they did not have to go home and then not waste time, but figure out what they're
Yeah.
gonna do with their time to come, because they gotta come back. That's why and work studies have always been on 4 o'clock, so that helped them on Mondays when it was. But then they'd have to come back for Tuesday night. So if we had it at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, if they had an item, they would be here for work study and progress into the regular board meeting at 6.
But we're gonna have huge gaps in time. If there's one item on the work study agenda, we could be done in 15 minutes, then.
I would have scheduled this for 2 hours, had I known Wayne County was going to be on this, but I did not know that was going to be on it when we scheduled it.
As to what time we
I think
schedule.
that's it. Depending
Potenti-
upon what's on the agenda
me bring it to
is
you.
how we will take and we will schedule it in the future. I think that's a real good, fair give and take. We have to be considerate of all of our directors and our employees' time being here. We have to be considerate of the board members and their jobs and their occupations outside of here that have to be here. We just need a little give and take. That's all. And communication
Trustee,
via phone.
let me bring it to your attention that prior to any adjustment, work study has always started at 4 PM. For my 14 years here, has always been at 4 PM. That was before I ran from clerk, and Trustee Miller ran for trustee. Supervisor ran for supervisor position. We knew what time the work study started. And I'm not saying that has to be a problem, but we all knew what time work studies start. It always started at 4 PM, whether it was a Monday or Tuesday. That was a set time. It was there. It had always been a set time. We ran for these positions.
Thought-
I'm not saying that we need to change it from 4 o'clock. That's not what I'm saying at all. I know it's always been at 4 o'clock. I'm good with it at 4 o'clock. I'm good with it at 4 o'clock now.
That's what I heard. But what I said, we'll start it at 4.
I'm good
Okay,
with
we
4
will
o'clock
make phone
now.
calls, okay? Yes, sir.
Support.
We have a motion, I have support, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
Wasn't that clear as to what time you come next time?
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, I'm not